tell me about this artwork that you just got.
Yeah. So a friend of mine who's bought a couple pieces of art for me, he's like, hey, can you print this for me? I'd love to have this on canvas. And I saw it. I immediately got one for myself. And then two other friends immediately wanted one. It's very Zen. It's this ancient Japanese art. This is like 1,000 years old. It's in some sort of museum in Japan, and I got a high resolution image of it. Sorry, my lighting's not great.
Oh my God. Take a couple steps back so I can see it. Yeah, take a couple steps back so I can see the whole thing.
So it's got mountains, there's tiny people in it. It's got incredible detail. It's really beautiful and Zen. And so for health, and you talk about this a lot, one of the best things we can do for our health is to reduce stress. And having calming, beautiful art in our homes is a great way to do that. I've had many nights, not many nights. I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, that's why I put my mom's quilts up here, because it's this beautiful art. And your picture reminds me of when I went to the Art Institute in Chicago. Oh,
I love the Art
Institute. Museum.
I know, I do too. And they had a Japanese exhibit.
Oh,
and part of the exhibit was all about the geishas, and there was a geisha island, in like the 16th century or something like that, and all the artwork around it of the geishas, which I loved. And I got my own piece from there. This is, what is this? This is, hang on. Hell Courtesan.
Oh, wow.
So it's got skulls and demons, and she was the geisha.
Goodness.
She's Hell's Courtesan. It's painting the floating world. It was ukiyo masterpieces. So there was this island, that had geishas, and it was a pleasure island. And one of the pieces was this tapestry, this long scroll. And on this long scroll, were snapshots of everybody, this whole village in that moment,
Wow.
So you're able to see, someone teaching martial arts and the students, and you're able to see a woman cooking in her house, and you're able to see somebody else yelling at his dog and throwing a stick. And so, it would take, to look at it, it would probably take about 10 minutes to go from one end of the scroll to the other.
Wow.
To look at it. And even then you would miss 2/3 of it.
I love art like that.
I do too. It's like this snapshot of life, of a world, and you get to see everything in context.
What's so interesting about art is that you can look at the same piece and have different emotions and notice different things. I've looked at this piece for no less than 40 hours. In this piece, I found it at Burning Man, no less than 40 hours in front of it. And almost every time that I look at it for over 10 minutes, I notice something new. It also brings me into a different psychological state. And so it's so valuable to have tools around our home that allow us to go into a different state if we're angry, if we're upset, if we're stressed, and ideally something that we enjoy. I really enjoy art, and just looking at this can bring me to a different state because I start to study it. I go from angry to upset to, I wonder if I can find something different, or can I notice something different? And usually with complex art, with really good art, or even a good book, there's something there. I'm reading Grapes of Wrath right now, which is an amazing story. You would choose,
I have to say this, you would choose to read it? That's such a painful book. It's good.
I'm so inspired by the characters. They're so noble. And there's great philosophy in the book. It's, the idea of, if I see a hungry person, I have to give you food. I don't have a choice, because that's just the right thing to do. Like the man, he's living off the land, and he's got like 2 raccoons, and they're like, well, are we going to eat with you? He's like, well, yeah, I got to share. I mean, I don't got to, but I want to give this to you because that's the right thing to do. And this is a poor man with almost nothing.
Yes.
I thought, wow, this is a really enlightened philosophy in this book that we see through these very poor people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's some of the best of humanity, something to tap into again right now, because we feel so divided as a culture. and starting to tap into the best of ourselves and creating environments that bring out the best in ourselves. It does make a difference. It changes it changes whether the flow of the world is regulated or dysregulated. Are you part of the problem, or are you part of the bigger flow of life?
And what I think people miss today is, assuming that you can pay your rent and you're not super financially stressed, what people miss today is how abundant and rich we are. So Grapes of Wrath is 100 years ago. People are living in these camps without bathrooms to try to pick cotton or pick peaches to be able just to have dinner. Otherwise, dinner's fried dough. We live in a society now where we could print pieces of art. That piece of art's in Japan, but people can have it now for a couple $100. We can have the music of Mozart for free if you subscribe to Spotify for $10 a month. You can listen to some of the greatest music ever written. We are so wealthy today.
Great point. You're right. And I've noticed, the bigger libraries are opening, they're opening up their digital documents because they've been scanning all these books in. I mean, you can read the Magna Carta. You can be inspired by the greatest thinkers in human history now and over time. My husband was reading Marcus Aurelius. Meditations.
Meditations, yeah.
Yes. And so he got done with it, and he says, you should probably read this. And I said, okay. And so I randomly, flip open or intuitively flip open to different parts of this book. And it's spot on. It's like the truth is always the truth, and the truth doesn't change. And when you read something like that, you go, oh, that was true then too. It starts to make sense that that to be out of sorts and dysregulated and sick and stressed is not the way we're supposed to be.
No. And that stress should come from something that's actually could kill us, like a lion chasing us, or you're next to you're on a mountain and you're afraid of heights. Stress should be coming from something real, not from our phones, not from likes or dislikes on Instagram, which is it's a chronic stress. It's really a challenge. And I think that's one of the reasons why cold showers are really great for health, is it's the low level stress, kind of like intermittent fasting. So intermittent fasting, it produces stronger cells. And by the way, fasting is great if anyone's on chemotherapy. What they find is when you fast on chemotherapy, cancer cells need sugar to survive. And so when you fast, those cells are deprived, they're extra hungry, but it strengthens your other cells. And so when you inject chemotherapy, which is basically poison, when you inject poison into your body, the cancer cells are really weak and your healthy cells are stronger. And so your the impact of the chemotherapy, the side effects are greatly diminished. So intermittent fasting is a great way to strengthen your healthy cells. Cold shower, your body needs to regulate temperature. This is a great way to increase, I think it's norepinephrine, which is it's like a low level stress from our environment. That's like, okay, my body's undergoing physical stress right now, just like exercise. And this helps make us stronger and healthier.
Well, a cold shower tends to stress me out more.
At first, I can understand because it's painful. And women, I believe, are more sensitive in their skin than men to cold.
Very sensitive.
I've been with women in the cold shower, like, this is really painful. And I believe them. And so I can understand that it's a difficult thing. I don't want to say the research is different on men and women, but I believe the research on humans is that cold showers are invigorating and good for you once you get past the idea of, okay, it's going to be cold and a little painful. But that need to regulate your body temperature from a physical stress, not an emotional stress, but a physical stress is good. Because imagine how much hot water human beings have had throughout history. Very little. Most water that we had was cold, right? We would bathe in the Nile. I don't know if the Nile is all that warm throughout the year. I don't know. So our bodies are used to cold temperatures and exposing ourselves to cold temperatures. And so that makes sense that would be something that we can handle. And then it's really
interesting to me. I didn't. So could you tell me a little bit more about cold showers and the benefits of them?
So So I've been doing cold showers for about 2 years, and I've been studying the Wim Hof method. Wim Hof is a man, he's known as the Iceman. He does deep breathing to oxygenate the blood, oxygenate the body. And this also increases resistance to cold as well. So I do both the breathing and the cold resistance. And the idea is that, first of all, cold showers are invigorating in the morning. And I've also heard that from Dave Asprey, who did Bulletproof Coffee, also wrote a couple of really good books about the brain. What are they called? One of them's called Headstrong. The other one's called Superhuman. He does a lot of really good research on health.
Okay, so what's his name again?
Dave Asprey. Dave Asprey.
I love this stuff. I'm a nerd for this stuff. Okay, Headstrong, Dave Asprey.
This one talks about how inflammation is causing Alzheimer's disease, which is a really big deal. So if you know that, they can look at your inflammation markers from age 40 and predict your risk of Alzheimer's at age 70. That's a really big deal. That means what you do today affects your risk of Alzheimer's later.
So I can go get checked out now, and it'll tell me what my likelihood is, so that I can take precautionary measures.
Well, what they'll tell your inflammatory markers, which are a way to do that is test cytokines. Cytokines are a marker of inflammation in your body. And depending upon your level, it'll tell you, it predicts your risk. It's not 100% risk. And then you look at people who have like diabetes. They have extra high inflammation markers. Diabetes is extra risk for Alzheimer's disease for a variety of reasons. I mean, if you're diabetic, you might be overweight, you're less likely to exercise. Not exercising increases risk of Alzheimer's disease. There's all these factors linked to it, but inflammation is a great thing to look at. Also, inflammation predicts, risk of heart disease, which is the number one killer in the United States. So inflammation is a really big deal, and he talks about that extensively in his book Headstrong. This is one that I haven't read yet, but I got it from the library. The library, by the way, is like one of the richest things ever. Like, we get books for free.
Well, I come from a family of librarians. My mom was a librarian. My sister's currently a librarian. Oh yeah, I dig that. So Dave Asprey, he came up with the Bulletproof Coffee. So why does Bulletproof Coffee work? And could you tell people what it is?
Yeah, sure. So Bulletproof Coffee is the idea that you have organic coffee and that you blend it with MCT oil and grass-fed butter. MCT oil is medium chain triglyceride oil. It's from coconut oil. It's like coconut oil on steroids. It's the really, really good part of coconut oil. I don't like the word refined, because I think of refined sugar, but it's refined coconut oil with just the really high octane parts of it. You put that in coffee with grass-fed butter. Grass-fed butter has healthy fats in it. And what this does is the fat will emulsify the coffee, so it kind of digests more slowly. And so the caffeine gets absorbed a little bit more slowly, but it lasts longer. And the idea is that you're giving your body and your brain healthy fats. The brain can actually run on fats or ketones. It can use ketones for energy, and ketones come from fat. And the fat in it, if you're in ketosis, if you're in the metabolic state of ketosis, ordinarily we're using glucose as energy. If you eat a certain amount of fats and reduce your carbs greatly, your body will eventually go into ketosis. Or if you fast for a long period of time, your body will go into ketosis. This is why our bodies would store fat.
Did you try the Bulletproof Coffee? Have you experimented with it and seen whether you like it or not?
Yes, it tastes great. I mean, you get to put butter in your coffee. It tastes great. It's also very filling. It's a great meal replacement. So if someone's wanting to lose weight, it's a great meal replacement because you get the energy from the coffee. You get the calories from the butter that can go to the brain. And so your brain feels pretty active, and it's filling. And grass-fed butter has a couple different benefits of it. I forget what they are specifically to regular butter, but it has some anti-inflammatory stuff in it. And it's good for your brain. And we want healthy fats. The reason we want healthy fats, and I'm sorry if I'm talking so quickly, I get so excited talking about these things.
I know. I love this topic. I love listening to you on the topic. Like, no one's watching us right now, but they're going to watch it later because it's packed with information. You know what I mean? Totally. This isn't as emotionally touching of a thing, but I'm going to be like, oh no, you need to sit and listen to this for 20 minutes because you need to hear what needs to be said. So I want you to talk because what you're sharing is so important. I'm just as excited.
I want to make sure I don't lose people. I often go a little quickly.
Yeah, nobody's here. So you're not going to lose anybody.
Oh, good. So the benefit of Bulletproof Coffee is that it's a meal replacement. It gets healthy fats to the brain. And the reason your brain needs healthy fats is that brain cells and cells in general, cell walls are made up of fat. And so do you want a fish oil brain or do you want a French fry brain? Where do you want your fats coming from that make up the cells of your brain and the cells of your body. And so in order to have healthy cells, you really need to have healthy fats. That's another reason why bulletproof coffee is great. Not only does it stimulate the brain with the caffeine, but the fat can be used as energy, but the fat can also be used to make healthy cells. And so that's
okay.
That's really important.
So do you do the bulletproof coffee when you did it? Did you do it like every day?
What I would do is it's called cycling. I would cycle on and off of caffeine. So I would do like 2 days of caffeine, 1 day of decaf coffee. And the idea is that caffeine is a very strong drug if you don't take it every day. And by cycling on and off of it, I'd feel the effect of it, it's kind of what I want. I don't want to take coffee every day to where I need it to feel normal. I want to take it once every other day or in some cycle to where when I take it, I feel it, I notice it, because it's a really strong drug, especially if you haven't had it in like a month and you have a cup of coffee. It's like, whoa, this is intense stuff here, right? So I like to cycle on it.
It's like we don't realize how powerful sugar is and how powerful caffeine is, because we take it all the time. So we're almost immune to its effects in a lot of ways, and they're numbing agents in a lot of ways. So we don't even know it yanks our bodies around in so many different directions.
Now I'm going to say something a little controversial. I've recently gotten to a brain boosting drug that a lot of people think is really terrible. And the science actually shows it's good for us. It's nicotine. So smoking is terrible. Yes. There's all kinds of negative effects from smoking.
I'm actually on your side, believe it or not, because because I studied shamanic work for about 10 years. And tobacco is one of the sacred plants of almost every tribe. And it affects the body in a powerfully healing way. The problem is that we commercialized it and added things to it and overused it and used it like we use everything as, a distraction, instead of using it as the medicine in the amounts that it's supposed to be used, how often it's supposed to be used. When used with respect, it's plant medicine. When used with disrespect, it's a poison.
Amazing. Like cocaine, the coca leaves. I haven't experienced them myself. From what I've understood from very intelligent people.
Coca leaves, I've taken them.
They're like a superfood. You can chew them, you can have energy, you feel great, all kinds of benefits from coca leaves. Refining it down to cocaine, very dangerous. Mixing that with all kinds of nonsense to make crack, extremely dangerous, right? Yes. But the natural plant is actual plant medicine, which is really
in Colombia, they use it for everything. I mean, I had a friend who was Colombian who would carry these coca leaves with him and make coca leaf tea all the time. It'd be like, hey, do you want a leaf? And make coca leaf tea. And it was just part of the medicine that you carried around without thinking twice.
That's amazing. I hope at some point we can have that in the United States. Was it the state of Washington has decriminalized all drugs, or state of Oregon?
Well, I wasn't necessarily decriminalized. He was just from Colombia and carried this stuff with him all the time.
I mean, I'd love for us to be able to purchase whatever substances we choose, but ideally plant medicine without being concerned that we might be prosecuted for our choosing to put into our bodies what it is that we choose.
Exactly. In Oregon, I think they legalized psilocybin in therapeutic settings. I don't know where else they have, though.
I think it's Washington decriminalized all drugs.
Okay.
No, Oregon. Oregon decriminalized all drugs. Washington made psychedelic therapy legal.
Okay.
Oh, so you mentioned mass production of cigarettes. What was interesting was I read this research paper that said the most addictive additive in tobacco, in cigarettes. Do you want to guess what the most addictive additive is?
I have no idea. It's flavoring. Sugar in cigarettes?
Yeah. There's sugar in the wrapping and sugar in the tobacco, and they found that
the most addictive substance.
Increases the addictiveness of the drug. There's certainly nicotine's addictive. But adding sugar to it and then smoking it, you're smoking
right.
and breathing
you're
in
headed
sugar.
for a train wreck. Yeah, you're headed for a train wreck.
So that's one reason why commercial cigarettes are
so you're
dangerous.
doing this nicotine thing for brain function. Okay.
I take nicotine maybe 3 times a week. It improves my mood, improves my my alertness, and I feel good. And it would take me, it would be very, very difficult for me to become addicted to this, even if I took it every day. It would probably take me years of doing it every day for me to actually have like I can't stop this sort of thing. And I got this from Costco. I love Costco, by the way. They're very ethical. PETA came to them and said, hey, some of your manufacturers aren't doing good things with animals, and they actually stopped carrying those product lines. So,
wow, I've always liked their management style. I've liked their philosophies.
Yeah, they overpay their employees. Like I remember they were paying their employees $15 an hour when I was in high school, and like everyone else was getting like 8. And double time or time and a half on Sundays. So everyone tried to work on Sundays, right? You're getting paid $22 an hour to work at Costco 10 years ago. People loved it. So I got this. It's a smoking aid, and there's nothing else bad in it. I don't think there's sugar in it. And basically, it's just nicotine in a pill. And I cut
like
them
one of the smoking aids that they have by the pharmacy, where you can just be like, stop smoking, and it's supposed to bring you down. Okay.
Yeah, so
interesting.
It's not a patch. The patches, I think, are a bit intense. And I got the pills and I cut them into quarters. So it's just a really small amount. It's only like 1 milligram of nicotine. I think a cigarette has between 2.5 and 10 milligrams of nicotine, depending on what kind it is and how big it is and how much of it you're breathing in. So this is like between half and a tenth of a cigarette that I'm
it's taking. Like microdosing.
Yeah, exactly. With none of the negative side effects. And I feel really good. And so that's helped me on a couple of coaching calls where I've been a little fatigued or been in bad mood, and I know I need to be creative, and I just take that like, oh, I feel better. All right, great. Let's get down to your stuff.
Yeah, I'm noticing that your energy's a little more amped up, and it's not bad or good. It's just I'm noticing, his energy's a little amped up.
Yes, I'm feeling really great talking to you, Rita. That's for darn sure.
Oh, I'm so glad. Could you talk to us about chocolate?
Absolutely, I'd love to. I actually brought some here. So chocolate, similar to tobacco, not like it's been contaminated by mass production, right? So we're actually adding sugar to tobacco, and adding sugar to chocolate has really ruined it as far as the health aspect. So this is cacao liquor. It's got a very strong smell, and if you eat it, it's extremely bitter. And so the art of the chocolatier or the chocolate maker is to make it taste good. And what they've done traditionally, they've done 2 things to do this. One is a process called Dutching. It's basically refining the chocolate, and it makes it taste better. It makes it taste less bitter, but it removes a lot of the nutrients. And so Dutching or alkalinizing makes it taste better, but removes some of the nutrients. And most of the chocolate that you'll eat, commercial chocolate, has been Dutched. It was done by a Dutch chemist. I forget his name. The second thing that they do is that, as most manufacturers, add sugar, even if it's organic sugar. Cane sugar is probably the least bad of the organic sugars. The problem with adding sugar is that it causes inflammation. And sugar directly inhibits the immune system. It makes it addictive. There's all kinds of negative side effects, and the sugar causes inflammation. Something very interesting happens when we cause inflammation in our digestive tract. We absorb less nutrients. So chocolate is very nutrient dense. An ounce of chocolate actually has more magnesium in it than an ounce of broccoli.
That's what you were saying. Yeah.
It's incredibly dense in nutrients. And so when we have it with sugar and there's inflammation, we're actually able to absorb less. We get less good things from it. So sugar is actually inhibiting your ability to absorb healthy nutrients from the healthy foods that you eat. So there's this like double whammy of sugar. It prevents you from absorbing the good stuff, and it causes damage in and of itself. So those are 2 problems with industrial sugar or industrial chocolate. The third is that they often use slave labor in Africa. And it's really unfortunate. It is to the point of slave labor. Basically, these are children who have been recruited or captured or lured over country boundaries into the Ivory Coast, and they're not paid for their labor. There was a documentary that I watched where they snuck around the gate to get into this chocolate plantation, and they said this child is 8 years old or 12 years old, and they don't speak the local language, and they're not in school. This is illegal by international law. I was like, wow, it's really specific, and it's really deep that this kid, even if they escape the plantation, they can't do anything. They don't speak the local language. They don't have a chance, right? And so a lot of big chocolate companies, basically Nestle's, Mars, and Hershey's, have been buying their chocolate from Africa because it's cheaper. And the problem with this is that the energetics are really bad, so it's not good to consume that for yourself. It's bad to support slave labor, and other human beings are being hurt by this. And so that's why it's important to buy fair trade.
I think that's a very important point, because we look, people look at how much something costs, and they don't really know the emotional. They don't really have the story behind fair trade and what it really means. It's not just that, somebody's making more money or somebody's making less money. This is about human dignity and human rights and what kind of a world we want to live in.
Absolutely. It's all of those. It's really, really in our face. Congress tried to regulate it, I think in 2008. And then the companies said, oh, please don't do this. We'll take care of, we'll do it ourselves. And they did nothing. They've done nothing. Nobody else, there's been no other legislation to try to stop this or hold them accountable for buying from disreputable plantations in the Ivory Coast and Western Africa. And it's interesting because Milton Hershey was a wonderful man. He had no children, and he started this orphanage for like poor boys to learn a trade like farming, to learn a trade like carpentry, and that school still exists today. He was a really wonderful man. And what they've done with his company, becoming a publicly traded company, just seeking profits, is really, who knows how many people have died from heart disease, diabetes, and things from eating too much sugar-laden Hershey's chocolate. And it's so in conflict with the man who founded the company. It's really upsetting.
That isn't, yeah, that's an interesting historical note about that.
So, interestingly, he was a very big entrepreneur. He tried all kinds of crazy shit. So he had his Hershey's theme park. He tried onion ice cream. It failed, but he was willing to try these crazy ideas. I wonder if onion ice cream will be good. And people didn't like it at all. But at that point, he was already very successful. But that was the entrepreneur's mindset, right? I'm gonna try it to see if it works.
Right. I love that.
So let me tell you some of the health benefits of chocolate. So number one, it's anti-inflammatory. It reduces inflammation. It boosts the immune system. There's 10 different things it does for the immune system that I don't quite understand. Working with the natural killer cells and the white blood cells and things that it does, but it's really good for your immune system. It's high in dietary fiber, which is really good for your gut. It has high magnesium. Magnesium is really important. Most of us are deficient in magnesium in the United States. Magnesium is good for energy. It's good for brain function. It's good for relaxing muscles. It's good for sleep. There's over 300 enzymatic processes magnesium is involved in. So it's very high in magnesium and other nutrients. It's very satisfying because it's rich in fiber. So it's a great food as a snack. And it's got something called theobromide in it. It's theobromide, which it's like the chemical of love. So people feel the sensation of love when they eat a certain amount of it. It's kind of like the coffee. It's kind of like the chocolate buzz or the chocolate high. And it's thought that the conquistadors, from Spain, when they went to the Aztecs or the Mayans, they drank I think it was the Mayans, they drank the chocolate drink. They're like, holy cow, what is this? I feel amazing. And then they brought it back to Europe. So it's
practically magic to them. Food is very magical. We've overused it and overprocessed it and overdone it. But the plant world and what can help us heal, I mean, when you start digging into it a little bit deeper, miracles are everywhere. It's astounding.
Yeah, it's absolutely a magical food. It's called cacao theobroma, which means food of the gods. So the Mayans had this divine reverence for it, and they'd also use chocolate beans, cacao beans as money, as currency, because it was such a valued plant in their society. And so some things you want to look for in a healthy chocolate. Number one is fair trade, because you don't want to support slave labor in Africa. Number two, read the ingredients and look for something that doesn't have refined sugar in it. So look for xylitol, erythritol, allulose, which is a new sugar that's coming out that's actually found in dates, figs, and mulberries, but they're just using it now for manufactured food, or stevia or monk fruit sugar. So try to look for one that's keto friendly. That'll be good. And ideally not alkalinized or Dutched. That reduces the magnesium, reduces the nutrients. And bonus, if you can find something that's got some nutrients added into it. So I add cinnamon and curcumin and piperine or black pepper to my chocolate. So cinnamon is good for the immune system. and cinnamon good for the metabolism, good for the brain. Curcumin is part of turmeric that's really good for you. Highly anti-inflammatory, really good for immune system, really good for your brain. Reducing inflammation, remember, it can help protect us from Alzheimer's disease and a lot of diseases. And black pepper or piperine helps increase the absorption of curcumin. This is really important. I got really, really mad reading a research study on Alzheimer's disease. It says, does curcumin help prevent Alzheimer's disease? I was really excited about this study. And then I read it. They did not give them black pepper with their curcumin. Black pepper increases the absorption of curcumin by 300%. So this dramatically would change the result of the study. And they found there was no difference between those who had curcumin and those did not. But there might have been if they'd have black pepper. So curcumin could be a huge advantage in preventing Alzheimer's disease if the researchers actually knew what they were doing. And I printed this paper, I'm yelling at it. I'm like, you idiots. Right,
exactly.
It was just really frustrating. So you want to have.
How much would you need? I mean, if you were going to take curcumin and black pepper to help your brain, how much do you need and how often? Like how much chocolate with curcumin and turmeric should you eat? And black pepper, should you eat?
So chocolate, 2 ounces a day is pretty good. That's like half a bar. If it's got some good stuff in it.
Yay.
The challenge with my chocolate is that I've tried to add as much as possible without affecting the taste in a negative way. So I've added so much to where the chocolate was like grainy, or it just tasted, I had spirulina at one point. It just tasted like vegetables, which defeats the purpose of eating chocolate, right? So I've tried to add as much as I can without negatively affecting the taste. So this is not your sole source of curcumin, but it is a source. And it's increasing it in your diet by the way, chocolate and vitamin B are vasodilators. These dilate blood vessels in our body, which increase absorption. So if you take supplements, for example, you want to take them with a B supplement because that will increase absorption. Chocolate also does the same thing. This is why Paul Stamets, who's a mushroom expert, talks about eating mushrooms with chocolate because it increases absorption.
I had some of that. I get specialty chocolate from Chicago, a place called Voges, and they do reishi mushroom chocolate.
Oh, beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a great thing to pair with chocolate. And so the ideal amount of curcumin, I think, in supplements they have around 1,000 milligrams a day, which is a fair amount. And then I don't know how much. There's not clear on how much black pepper you need, but you want it with both because it increases the absorption. I take a black pepper pill every day with my vitamins. It's really inexpensive. I think that's, if I'm right, I think it's 100 milligrams. I think my black pepper pill is 100 milligrams. What
supplements or vitamins do you take every day?
That is a very long list that I'd be happy to go through. But I take a lot, and I actually I make my own stuff.
I would love it if I hope it's not asking too much. If you could type it out and put it under, today's video. You've done so much research on this. You've thought about it so deeply that I would just really respect, knowing how you treat your body, and the things that I can add or adjust, that might help me, and all of us stay on a better path.
Yeah. So a lot of people are concerned about immune health right now. So I made an immune boosting supplement called Vitality, which I specifically formulated to support the immune system. And so this is basically like a multivitamin for your body. So what it has is it has vitamins A, B, C, D, and D, vitamin K. When we're just learning now that vitamin D, they think the recommendation, there was an open letter written by 120 scientists and medical experts asking countries around the world to increase the recommended daily dose of vitamin D from 800 IU, which is international units, to 4,000 IU, basically tripling or quadrupling the recommended dose of vitamin D. And what they're finding is that most of the people with COVID who are going to the hospital have a deficiency in vitamin D. Now, this might be linked to the fact that they're older, and older people are more likely to have a vitamin D deficiency. So it's not a totally clean correlation, but we know vitamin D is important for immune health, and the fact that it's really related to severity of COVID complications is really important. It's important to take note of. And vitamin D is really safe and easy to supplement. And so I have so when I made this, I followed the recommendation of 100% vitamin D. But if I were to do this again, I would add a lot more and take it up to close to 4,000, which is the recommended daily dose of vitamin D. So all of those vitamins. Vitamin K is really good for the brain. And then I have iodine and tyrosine. So iodine and tyrosine together with selenium make thyroid hormone. These are precursors to thyroid hormone. These are like ingredients or building blocks of thyroid hormone. Thyroid hormone regulates your metabolism as well as your immune system. It impacts your immune system. So giving your body the building blocks to make thyroid hormone is indirectly related to your immune system. And so I have those things there. I definitely recommend supplementing selenium. A lot of people don't get enough of selenium. And selenium is a precursor to something else in the body called glutathione. Glutathione is the body's master antioxidant. And so what they've done is they've taken someone who has dementia and they'll give them a glutathione cleanse. They'll basically stick a needle in their arm and pump them full of glutathione, which basically binds to a bunch of free radicals in their body. And after one treatment, sometimes you can see a difference, but after weeks, you can see dementia kind of reducing. And this is people who have like heavy metal toxicity or a bunch of toxins in their body that have accumulated over years and years. And the glutathione will bind to those things and help protect their body and like protect their tissues. So glutathione, very important, and selenium is related to glutathione in your body. And if you can afford it, or if you know someone who has early stage dementia or even moderate stage dementia, check with your doctor about doing a glutathione cleanse. They're very, very safe. They're very effective. And basically you're pumping your body full of antioxidants to help bind to heavy metals and free radicals and protect your body from those things that may have accumulated in your diet or from the air or from the water. And then there's zinc in here. Zinc is very important to a healthy immune system. Garlic is in here. Garlic is huge. Excuse me. I actually took some of this right before the show and the garlic's kind of coming up. So garlic.
About 2 or 3 minutes left, just so you know.
Okay. Garlic could be the last one I talk about. So garlic is extremely valuable. What they found, they did double blind placebo-controlled study. Half got a garlic supplement, half did not. What they found is those who took the garlic supplement were 70% less likely to get sick. And those who did get sick, those who took the garlic, they recovered twice as fast. So their recovery time was cut in half. So basically, if we round these numbers down, if you take a garlic supplement, you reduce your likelihood of getting sick by 50%. And then if you do get sick, you cut your recovery time in 50%.
Wow.
So just total money there. I recommend a garlic supplement because it's difficult to eat the raw garlic and like chew on it. It's painful. It's rough. And so I recommend a garlic supplement. I think it's 1,000 milligrams a day is what that's recommended. Yeah, I put 1,100 in mine. So yeah. And then I have, because I love chocolate, I put theobroma in here. So you get kind of the chocolate buzz a little bit, theobromine. And so those are some of the supplements I recommend. If I would recommend just one, it would be vitamin D because of the immune concern right now. Most people don't get enough magnesium. I'd recommend magnesium and zinc on an empty stomach. I think those are really important.
Cool. Thank you. Are we seeing you later this week again?
Yeah, Friday.
Friday
at this time.
Good. Because this is such a fascinating topic. I want to hear more about it too.
Yeah, absolutely. We're talking about the family. We can talk about being a health role model for your family, which
I love it. I think that's a great title. So that's what we'll call it. How to be a health role model for your family.
Beautiful. And so for the winner today, how do people win for the day?
Oh, they engage, they talk to each other, they share, they post pictures for the day. Yep.
Okay, great. So for the winner today, I will send you a bottle of my supplement. Dr. Love's Vitality helps increase natural immune support, increased energy, and also stimulates metabolism and can help you burn fat.
That is cool.
So
I love it.
This retails for $40, so you get that for free. Just if you can cover shipping, that would be lovely.
Thank you.
You're so welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited to see you Friday. We can continue this conversation. Very cool. Thanks, Robert.
You're welcome. Thanks so much for having me on, Rita. It's such a pleasure.
Yeah, it is for me too. I'll see you later, okay?
Love it. Have a great day.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Okay, everybody, it's time for lunch break. So I'll see you at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, and we're going to be hanging out with Tina, the health coach. That should be a lot of fun. I just like talking to her. She's so smart. If you have any questions, make sure that that you show up and ask them, put in the chat, think about them now. Any health questions you could ask her about weight or immunity or anything you want. Body, mind stuff. Come up with some questions and we can definitely make this a great Q&A with Tina if you'd like, okay? So, hi Jenny. All right, hopping off and I'll see everybody at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. Have a great afternoon.